Now, we often report on migrants risking their lives by crossing the Mediterranean, but today's focus is on those who are given safe passage. The Federation of Evangelical Churches in Italy has set up a humanitarian corridor initiative. It's for migrants travelling from Ethiopia. Natalia Mendoza sent us this report.
Finally, they have reached Europe. Landing in Rome airport after a long night flight, they can't contain their joy.
I am very happy.
I'm so happy. I give thanks to God and all those who helped to save us. We've made it here. Thank you.
For Suleiman and for the other 138 people who arrived in Italy, this is the end of a long and difficult journey. A journey that started several months ago in Africa. Thousands of refugees fleeing from the dictatorship in Eritrea live in this camp in the north of Ethiopia. Most of them share the same dream, to reach Europe. These humanitarian workers have arrived with good news. Within a few weeks, this family will be welcomed in Italy.
This is an opportunity that we are currently giving to certain people. We know that this will radically change your life. You'll have to leave here and start a new life, and you will be welcomed by communities in Italy.
Daniele Albanese is one of the project's coordinators. He's a member of one of the 3 Catholic NGOs that organizes these humanitarian corridors.
In these months, we have done several interviews here in Ethiopia and in the camps. 130 people were selected. That means that we are doing documents. Italy released visas.
Humanitarian visas that are given to the most vulnerable, displaced by war, violence and persecution. Suleiman fled Eritrea and its totalitarian regime.
In Eritrea, we're forced to do our military service when we're 18, and it lasts for all your life. We have no choice. It's impossible to build a life. It's a dictatorship.
3 months later, and it's finally time to leave. For most of them, this marks the end of a living nightmare.
There are many victims of torture, victims of violences, sexual exploitation, and so on. And of course, children. We want to save them from a life in a refugee camp.
Yamina has also fled Eritrea. After being imprisoned in Libya for 3 months, she is hoping to start a new life in Italy, far from the violence she's experienced.
I've lived through so many difficulties and terrible times in the past. I'm sure that I can adapt to living in Italy and build a new life.
Once at Addis Ababa airport, the organisers can finally enjoy the satisfaction of accompanying them safely to Europe.
That means that the people, they don't have to be trafficked and they don't have to be smuggled through the desert or by boat in the Mediterranean Sea. They don't have to die because they will travel by plane.
A plane that lands at dawn in Rome, where more humanitarian workers welcome them. Yamina is visibly relieved.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm so grateful to Italy for accepting us. We got here without taking risks, and that has saved us.
Everyone is joyful. But for many, there is also a feeling of sadness.
It's really hard to leave so many travel companions back in Ethiopia and in Eritrea, and to think that so many of them died in the Mediterranean trying to get here.
This humanitarian corridor project is entirely financed by the Italian Episcopal Conference. Its success will depend on the number of visas granted by the populist Italian government.
Whichever government is in place, whatever political orientation, we will continue our mission, because seeing these people and their stories means we must continue to fight.
For the organisers, their objective is clear: to persuade European governments to make these humanitarian corridors more widespread.
We have to find legal routes for migrants in Europe. The humanitarian corridor is a perfect legal solution that guarantees the safety of those that travel and those that receive them. We suggest that the whole of Europe puts this system in place.
Since these humanitarian corridors were established 2 years ago, 1,600 refugees have taken this route to Italy.